Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to today's video. So in this one today, I'm going to be talking about the importance of constantly refining your technique to ensure that all of the energetic potential that your body possesses is able to be channeled to the maximum impact point of your strike. Now, I'm talking in practical terms here, meaning how the posture of the body during the execution of a technique plays a crucial role in the potential power that comes out of that strike at the end. So one way to think about this is using the analogy of a garden hose. The hose pipe takes the source of water and focuses it into a powerful jet-like stream. Similarly, a magnifying glass takes the sun's energy and focuses it to a point that amplifies it in a way that wouldn't happen in its more naturally dissipated state. So this is exactly what we want to aim to do with our strikes, and you may have seen me speak about the kinetic linking principle before, which is basically the energy transfer starting with the feet, moving up through the body to the eventual striking point at the end. And I've also made a really in-depth video about this on the Pioneer that you can watch alongside this video for a better understanding if you like, and that is linked in the description below. Now, kinetic linking is the underlying principle of how we begin to transfer the energy throughout the different points of our body into the strike. However, there is more to the equation. So going back to that garden hose analogy again, and I really like to use analogies because I find it helps people kind of understand these pretty nuanced topics in a different light, a bit more easily, if you will. The garden hose in its kind of uncompromised form is basically a perfect vehicle to transport the water pressure and then eventually filter it into that jet-like stream at the end. And just like the martial artist with perfect technique, if such a thing was to exist, would be the perfect conduit to harness all of the body's natural potential energy into a really powerful blow. However, now let's imagine that someone was to take a nail and drive it through the hose. The water stream will still be focused as before, but if the pressure were to be measured, it wouldn't be as high as if there was no hole in the pipe. And now imagine we drive 2 nails through the pipe, or even we drive a wider gauge nail through. This is going to then further dissipate the water pressure being expelled at the end of the hose, and so it's obvious that the more leaks in the hose there are, then the lower the water pressure is going to be focused into the jet stream. And I really like this analogy because it's pretty much a perfect reflection of how, in an uncompromised with perfect technique state, someone will be able to harness all of that energy. But just like with the hose with the leaks in it, often when we're refining our technique and getting better, there are areas where we're losing energy that we can improve upon to get more power at the end. And the biggest energy drain in the body usually comes from poor posture and core compromisation. And conversely, a strong and developed core is the key component in delivering a very powerful blow. But just like the garden hose, there can also be numerous other energy leakages taking place. For example, too narrow a stance, which would throw off the person's center of gravity, or not enough twisting through the hips and shoulders, for instance. And this is often why practitioners with limited experience often really struggle to comprehend how such power can be generated through a very short strike, for instance. But it's really that if they haven't developed that core enough or hadn't had enough time training and developed specifically to that activity, then it's pretty much impossible for them to actually be able to generate that power just through that lack of experience. However, having a really strong core is not enough, and there's more to the equation. If there is poor posture elsewhere, then those energy leakages into the strike can still be taking place. And this is why you need to combine different components into your training, the most important 3 being the technical understanding, adequate muscular development, and timing. And this is why I love to focus so heavily upon technique and really understanding what's actually physically occurring within the body at different stages of movements. Too many people think it all comes just from only developing the muscles of the body, but massively lack the knowledge on how to channel that power effectively. And it's also why when somebody has both parts of that puzzle, then they're able to hit much harder than it would seem their body weight would naturally permit. One of the most important foundational elements one should be mindful of when training is to maintain a position akin to the gymnastics hollow. This is a firm posture and naturally where the core muscles are at their strongest, tight and compact. I believe the best way to develop this is through gymnastic style core conditioning, utilizing the hollow position through various exercises. Gymnastic conditioning in general is really complementary to martial arts, as it's using the body in similar ways to the way we move in martial arts, but also you're able to recover from it quickly. It's not too taxing on the body, so obviously it's not going to take away from your activity going forwards. Now let's look back at these old clips of me when I'd just begun to really work on my hand techniques. So it's very evident here that I have a lack of the hollow position going on at certain times, especially during my lateral techniques like hook punches. You can see at the point of striking on many of these body shots and hooks that my posture is off, and on occasion is even almost in a reverse or anti-hollow position. And one of the biggest tells for this is the slight jolting back of the head upon the point of impact. And the reason the head shoots back this way is because the target is actually ejecting energy back at you because you failed to fully channel it into the strike. My timing is off on some of these hook punches specifically, and the body is rotated too quickly, causing the arm to drag into the strike, hitting a little bit too late. And this has wasted and discharged some of the energy that I created previously during the twist. Now this is something that just comes naturally with the territory when you're beginning to improve and work on something. Obviously you start out quite clunky and then you refine it to get it more efficient as you go forward. However, being quite mindful of this point as you begin, for instance, is going to exponentially speed up that process for you. And now let's compare some more recent footage of me, and you can see a vast improvement in how I'm utilising my body and the energy into the strikes. And also to note, this is on a much heavier and sturdier bag than previously as well. So on the lateral strikes, I'm maintaining the hollow position strongly and no longer bending backwards. My chin is also tucked and the head isn't being ejected backwards as it was before sometimes. And this has also made me way faster as well, because a massive part of speed is having really efficient technique, no wasted or unnecessary movement. Even on the straight shots, you can see that my strikes are more assertive and aggressive due to that core strength and posture, and overall I just look a lot stronger as well. So whenever training striking going forward, you want to try and keep in mind where you may be losing energy, your natural potential when you're striking. And a great way to develop this is to film yourself training to determine if how you imagine you're actually moving is accurate to the reality, and then if you have the eye for it, iterating based on that or working with somebody who's able to highlight where you can improve. And on that note, I've also begun offering coaching services now to a limited number of clients, including technical analysis. So if that's something you think you might be interested in, if you want some help with your techniques and training, then send me a message on Instagram or just email me at the link below and I'll see if I can help you out. And this principle is the same with kicking techniques as well, but each technique comes with its own set of specific postures that you should try to adhere to in order to get the maximum potential from that strike. To illustrate this, let's have a look at this tornado kick, for example. While it's quite an easy technique to be able to perform, applying it with some level of power is a different story. Where many people struggle to apply power in a somewhat advanced kick like this is in not lining up the body's posture at the correct times during the move. And as with anything else, if one of those three key areas is off, remember strength, understanding the technique and timing, then you're still going to be able to perform a kick with some degree of efficacy, but it will take on a whole new dimension if you're able to get them all somewhat in the right place. And as you can see with this, the point at which I lift the kick to deliver the final blow is right at the last second at the end of the move, after I've transmuted all of that energetic potential through the torque of the spin previously. And this is also then further amplified because I've worked on getting the spin very fast, which comes from core development and understanding how to spin effectively. So then the kick at the end essentially rides the wave of all of that energy and is extended effortlessly at the final stage. And I've spoke about this quite a few times in how you want to try to get as much of the technique done as you can early, so that by the time you actually come to deliver the final extension of the limb for the strike, for instance, it just kind of happens effortlessly. And if you're training techniques and they start to take on this dimension where they start to feel easy and like they kind of just happen, then you'll know you're somewhat on the right track with that. So can you see here how even before I extend my leg to deliver the kick, my body is already in a prime position so that all there's left to do is extend. If I hadn't achieved this position at this point and was further behind, for example, then I've created an energetic leak there because I have to play a bit of catch up in order to complete the spin, which is then having to be done at the same time I actually should be extending the limb to deliver the kick. And this not only depletes power, but it also slows down the technique considerably and can compromise things like balance for resetting yourself into your original stance afterwards. So to summarize, you want to aim to work on all of these things simultaneously to be able to harness all of the natural energy that your body possesses through timing, technical understanding and practice, before placing more heavy emphasis upon simply strengthening the body through conditioning and things like that. So I really hope you enjoyed this video today, guys. Be sure to head over to the Pioneer YouTube channel where I collaborate with Adam to create martial arts centered content, and me and Adam have also got some really exciting projects coming up this year as well, so stay tuned for those. Thanks very much, guys, and I will see you in the next video.